Hey everybody, Meriden Gaming here, and it's time for another build video. Today we're going to be focusing on my Deathless Heavy Hitter Moze build. Let's take a look. So, the majority of this build revolves around one skill and either a artifact or a shield, depending on or what you have available to you. But it's all about the thin red line skill. This whole 60% of your max health reserved and is added to max shields. And then you have another skill that for however low your health is, the more damage you do. So Moses gun damage and Iron Bear weapon damage are increased depending on how low their health is. The lower the health, the greater the increase. So if your health is at 1, of course you're going to be getting that 50% increase all the time. So anyway, let's look at this. So we've got 5 points into Selfless Vengeance. Whenever Moze reloads, she loses a small portion of her health, which you're at 1 health anyway, so that 5% health removal doesn't remove any health. So you basically have plus 15% gun damage, incendiary damage, all the time after every reload. Now, you're not going to reload as often depending on the weapons you're using because of the secondary skill tree, but this is an added benefit. You can, manually reload anytime you want. One into Security Bear. So the whole purpose of the Iron Bear in this build is to be your heavy hitter. He can take down bosses, he can take down enemies in just a couple shots, even in Mayhem 10. So this is just to help you keep him out a little bit longer. We don't have a lot of cooldown, so he's not going to be out all that often, but when he is, he's just going to mow down the enemy. We're going to put 5 points into Armored Infantry. This allows Moze, as long as her shields are active, to get damage reduction and gun damage. So it's a nice little trick because you're basically all shields. Then we put 5 points into Drowning in Brass. This is a kill skill. For every stack you get fire rate is reduced, but gun damage is increased for both her and her allies. So this is very handy when you're running with a group because they get that plus 20%. So the more people you have, if you have a full group of 4, that's basically 80% per stack. So that's a lot of extra damage. Then we put 3 points into the thin red line. Of course, you have to have this. This is what helps get your health down. You could probably do it with 2, depending on, it depends on what artifact and what shield you're running, honestly. But the whole fact that you get, 60% of your health is reserved, and then you get to increase it by that much more. So that's handy. All right, so then we're going to put 5 points into Vladoff Ingenuity. Mo's maximum shield and shield recharge rate are increased, and she gains resistance to shock damage. So that, makes it to where your shield doesn't go down as much when you're hit with that shock damage. 1 point into Full Can of Whoop-Ass. Entering Iron Bear causes you and your ally shields to begin recharging immediately at an increased shield rate. So when you do get down, lower, you can pop that Iron Bear out and he will just start refilling your shield immediately. So it's really good. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear does a critical hit, they deal increased incendiary damage with experimental munitions. You're going to be doing a lot of incendiary damage because there's just a lot of little extra things that give you incendiary damage, so that once you get those shields down on those enemies, you're just going to, run through their health real quick. Put 2 points into Behind the Iron Curtain. This basically just gives you shield recharge delay and shield recharge rate, so when your shield is really low and you don't have the ability to enter Iron Bear, you can take cover and it will recharge quicker. 3 points into Desperate Measures. Of course, we already discussed this. This gives you increased gun damage for if your health is lower. And then 1 point into Force Feedback. If you get a critical kill, your shields begin recharging immediately, and you get a shield recharge, or a 10% of your max shield is immediately recharged. So that's very handy with this build. We put 4 points into Phalanx Doctrine. It's a kill skill. For every stack you have, you get more maximum shield and increased gun damage, and they last for 30 seconds. So in those prolonged firefights, this really keeps you up. And then finally, 1 into Tenacious Defense. When Mose's shield is fully depleted, she instantly restores a portion of her shield and gets increased gun damage. So even if you aren't in a position to pop out Iron Bear, as long as you haven't had your shields go down more than once, it will increase your gun damage and give you 40% of your shield back. The problem is your shields have to fully recharge naturally for this to become available again. And I believe there's an icon on your HUD that lets you know if you have that, if you'll have that safeguard or not. Next, we're going to go over to the bottomless mags side of the build. We're going to put 5 points in a cloud of lead. This basically just increases your incendiary damage. So once again, mowing through that health. 3 points into stoke the embers. Increased incendiary damage once again. So we're just stacking on that incendiary damage. And then there's, and since this one is, it causes any weapon to be incendiary every 4th shot, especially with those faster firing weapons, it just compounds on top of everything else you're doing. We put 3 points into Scrappy. While you're moving, you do increase gun damage. Depending on the weapon you like to use, if you tend to move around a lot, you could probably take some points somewhere else, out of somewhere else and put it into this. But I don't move quite as much because I like some of the sniper, well, not sniper rifles, but the heavy weapons and stuff like that, to where I pretty much stand in one spot. But as you'll see in the build, I tend to move around a lot, so I probably need to put a couple more points into it. I did not put any points into this whole magazine size, even though we are using the click, just because I tend to use a bunch of different weapons and a bunch of different gear. So if this helps you, you could move some points around to get some into that too. We did not put any points into rushing offense because the whole Scrappy, it's not based on movement speed like it is for Zane. And then also, since your health is going to be at 1, there's no point in having lifesteal. And let me take off my class mod real quick just so we can see the actual points. So 5 points into the Iron Bank. Basically, this increases your magazine size. That keeps you firing longer because that also plays off the whole forge ability, which we'll go over in a second. 1 point to specialized or specialist bear. I like using the railguns for this because they hit really hard. You could probably do the rocket launchers or something else if you prefer those, but for me, I prefer these just because they have the ability of the corrosive sabot round, which of course doesn't use as much fuel, but it takes down those armored enemies really fast. And then also you have the ability to take down shielded enemies with capacitive armature. What I like to do is I literally fire both guns at once, and it just shreds enemies really quickly. All right, and then next we're going to put 3 points into click. This is that whole magazine size. So you really want stuff that has larger magazines. Actually, I guess you wouldn't necessarily have to, but as your ammo in your magazine goes down, the gun damage goes up. So that works really well. And if you have, like I have the double barrel, I can't remember the name of the fire shotgun, but if you increase your magazine size by 2, that if you the way it works is you can sometimes not expend ammo. So if you get that 1 ammo in a 4-shot shotgun, you can, well, it's a 2-shot shotgun plus the magazine size. You can do 5 million damage with 1 headshot, which is super OP in a lot of things. But it is fire, so it doesn't work against all enemies. And then finally, 1 point to forge. This basically causes your gun to regenerate ammo into the magazine. Now you have to understand, this is the magazine. This doesn't regenerate ammo that's in your ammo pouch. So if you reload and you're sitting there on full ammo as you're running around, you are not regenerating ammo. You need to at least fire up a few rounds every once in a while just so you're regenerating ammo, because it will not regenerate past your magazine into your ammo pouch. It only regenerates the ammo in your magazine. And as for weapons, let's take a look at that. Okay, so the things you're going to want, let me make sure I find the right one. I think it was this one. Nope, it's not that one. Nope. I think it's that one, isn't it? Yeah, the Vladoff. Okay. So the whole thing revolves around one of two setups, depending on what you have. Um, if you don't have the Deathless artifact, which basically reserves all health but one, you get plus 100% shield, um, and then shield recharge rate and shield recharge delay. This gets you down to one health. That gives you that 50% bonus damage at all times. This one has the added bonus of making your action skill cooldown rate better. The other option you have is the front loader shield. So it reserves 60% of your max health and returns its shield capacity. This will also get you down to that 1% if you with the added benefit of the thin red line, because you want to be down as low as possible. But I found that my current setup without that shield works a little bit better and gives me more shield overall. Because if you notice with the front loader, I only have 26,000 shield, whereas with the transformer, I've got 40,000. If I get 60,000, I might use that one. But the nice thing with using this transformer is converts 100% of shock damage into shields, which shields are your health with this build. So you use electric weapons or shock weapons, and your health rarely ever goes down unless you get a really super big hit, which is fairly rare even in Mayhem 10. So, Transformer plus the Deathless is what you're looking for. As far as the extra benefits, incendiary damage, action cooldown rate, just general elemental resistances, anything like that is what you're looking for. And then I don't have a good transformer with the right anointed skill, but I just wanted that extra shield because that whole 100 plus 100% shield because of the Deathless. As far as your class mod goes, I don't have anything that has the orange skill tree, so I went with this one. Basically, after you fire for a few seconds, you gain bonus corrosive damage, and the longer you fire, the greater the bonus. So this plays into that whole magazine size thing, and of course, as well as you start recharging ammo, and every fourth shot doesn't use ammo. Like this just compounds on top of each other to give you that corrosive damage. So even if you're fighting against a whatever you call it, armored opponent using a non-corrosive weapon, you can still take them down with this. And then as far as the grenade, it really doesn't matter what you use. I tend to like the action skill end. It gives me, some extra damage as soon as my bear goes down to do that extra damage. As far as weapons, you can use pretty much whatever you want. Larger magazine size help. Of course, I like the light shows. They work pretty well in close quarters, especially the electric. You want something that fires fast and is electric, or my ever favorite, the Thunderball Fist. Because, of course, this thing, with it doing that splash damage, you can hit multiple enemies, and you're constantly recharging your shield with this. So that's a very good option. Another good option is the Monarchs. I have both the, in the gameplay we're about to see, I use both the corrosive and the fire. The fire to take down enemies once their shield goes down, and to do that extra incendiary damage. All that bonus incendiary damage just compounds on top of it. And then the corrosive to take down those heavily armored opponents really quickly. This is the shotgun I was talking about, the Hellwalker. Especially if you can get the 26,000 times 10. This is the one that can do 5 million headshot damage if you have your magazine size increased to 4 on this one. It is ridiculous. It takes down any non-armored opponent in like one shot with that 5 million. Another fun option, since you're using the transformer and you can't get hit by splash damage or shock damage, is the ion cannon. I don't know if you've seen this one in my Zane Turtle build, where you use your clone, but this is a really good option to keep your shields topped off, and it hits really hard, at least in shock. So if you do like those heavy weapons, this is a good option. And then I think that was it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the weapons that I like to use. Like I said, you want something fast firing, heavy or large magazines. I prefer this one just because of that splash damage. Anything with splash damage and shock works really well with your shield. So yeah, we're gonna go to our favorite testing ground, Athenas, and do a little gameplay. And as you'll see in a few minutes when we take on the boss, you can see how heavy your Iron Bear hits. I mean, he's dead in seconds. It's ridiculous. So let's get to that gameplay. Alright, so I have sped up the gameplay a little bit by like 50% just so it goes a little bit faster. As you can see, as long as I'm using this weapon with that splash damage, and well, when I was using Thunderball Fist, as long as I was doing that shock damage, my shield really doesn't go down. And then watch this. I'm about to shred. Of course, he was immune to shock, so it took a few more. But these other guys, I mean, just look at that. Just one after another, it just shreds them. Oh, that guy's going to be immune to shock, so it's going to take a couple extra shots. Yeah, I mean, just look at that. That incendiary extra damage does ridiculous amounts. Now we're going to be trying the ion cannon. And look at that. Dude's dead in seconds. Try to get my shield back up. You do have to pay attention to your shield, of course, to try to use your shock weapons to keep yourself up. See, now that his health is down. Oh, I thought I was going to switch to the incendiary gun. There we are. And you see how many different procs are applied to him? I mean, every single element was applied to him. Just instant kill. I thought there was more guys, but apparently not. So now we're going to run on to the next little area. So the way I have it set up is I have my Thunderball Fist flanked by the corrosive and fire like on either side of it, so when I scroll my mouse wheel I can select between the two different ones that I need. Basically I come in, I jump in Iron Bear and start blasting away. The problem is in this Mayhem 10 mode I haven't re-rolled my things enough times. You really don't want to have the one where they're immune to certain elements with this build. That really slows you down. The health drone and I forgot what the other, or I think it's drone ranger and there's something else to make it easier. Anyway, alright. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. This was a little bit after I'd figured out, I got back into my rhythm a little bit more with the build. So I hadn't been able to play. I've been having to work on my car here recently in my free time to get it functioning correctly. So I was a little rusty in that first clip, but this one, I mean, you'll watch, I mean, just look at that. I mean, just one after another. I'll keep my shield up while there's more enemies. Once I get his health, now he's into health. Get my fire one out. And see, look, I got a critical hit, or critical kill there. Oh no, it's the drone ranger thing, isn't it? Now there's health. Now he's to health. You just use that fire weapon. And that immunity was because he was immune to corrosive, and that one skill, or one, I think it was our class mod or artifact, one of the two. You know, granted us that corrosive damage, so nothing to worry about there. I mean, look at that. One of the badasses gone in, you know, 2 shots. This guy's gone in a couple shots. That one's gone in a couple shots. I mean, Iron Bear in this build is ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that there was a legendary. And we're about to skip ahead to the boss fight, and just watch how quickly we take him down. It is ridiculous. So I started off, you know, shooting him, trying to get that down base. Then I went, you know what? Let me just use Iron Bear. And watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So around 10 seconds in Mayhem 10. So as you can see, the Iron Bear hits hard, and with the ability to have that shield, it keeps you up. So anyway, I hope you like the gameplay. I mean, it's a really fun build to play with. and you can use any weapons. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that build. This is definitely one of my new favorites. It's just so much fun to run around with that much shield, and especially that Iron Bear and how much damage he can do. I mean, did you see how fast we took out Captain Tron? I mean, it was just, what, 5, 10 seconds or less? I mean, ridiculous. It was awesome. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments, please leave them if you want to see certain builds or anything, or if there's certain weapons you want to see builds around. I can do that as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the wasteland.